What's going on, Sunbelt fans? Hello, welcome into another episode of the Sunbelt Syndicate. My name is Dominic Crusetto, as always, and today we are going to jump into the Troy Trojans. Last three seasons, 2019 had a record of 5-7. In 2020, they had a record of 5-6, and in 2021, they had a record of 5-7. So you can at least say they have been very consistent. In that time frame, they did not go to any bowl games, obviously, didn't get the 6 wins. They didn't have any P5 wins or victories over ranked opponents to note. So this year, the offense could thrive if Gunnar Watson and Kamani Vidal lead by example and play well overall. I think you've got the experienced quarterback coming back, so if they can lean heavily on him and the run game by Vidal, I think the offense will be in good shape. I think the offense could struggle if the O-line can't protect or open up holes. So I think Gunnar Watson is a pretty decent quarterback overall. I don't think he's going to light the world on fire or anything. But if they give him the time and they open up some holes for Vidal, I think they can do pretty well. I think they are set pretty well at wide receiver. The only question mark is how the whole unit of the O-line can hold up over time. They can't really take plays off here. They're really going to have to protect and give those guys time to develop within that particular play and have some success there offensively. I think the defense can thrive, but the front seven can dominate the game. This may be the best front seven in the league, and I don't think a lot of people are talking about him. Again, they move over from the East to the West, and we've seen recently that the West hasn't been nearly as strong as the East. So a bad record or a not great record in the East, you move over to the West, I mean, you almost automatically are getting 2 or 3 wins, it seems. So I do expect a jump in production and success for the entire team this year, and I think a lot of that lies in the fact that they have a really good defensive front to start with. I think the defense can struggle if they lose any of those starters on the D-line. You can't have losses there for a long period of time because we're just really not sure on the depth. They may have some guys that could surprise, but I would lean heavily on the starters being who you really, really need to have healthy and in lineup consistency there. Special teams, they've been all over the final rankings. I'd say you should be able to expect a pretty big jump in production here. I mean, you can't really get much worse than their 126 finish in the special teams rankings from last year. So with that being said, let's jump into the schedule. September 3rd, they open up at Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is too strong. I think that this is a pretty easy win for them, and Troy's still working some stuff out here early in the season. I have them dropping that one to Ole Miss. Then they rebound the very next week, hosting Alabama A&M. I don't think they should have any struggles there. They won pretty easy the last time, even though it was quite a bit in the past. Then they travel up to Appalachian State. Again, they haven't had much recent success against App State. I don't see that changing this season. I think App State's a stronger team. Chalk that one up as an L. Then they have Marshall coming into town, and I think Marshall should be pretty set in their ways by that point in time. They may have, we just saw that Rasheen Ali's taken some time away from the team here within the past 2 days or so. Hopefully for his sake and for Marshall's sake and their fan base's sake, he's back by that point in time and can add an extra level to their game that they might be missing if he does miss any time this season. So I have Marshall winning that one. Then they travel up to Western Kentucky, and Western Kentucky lit up the scoreboard last year with Bailey Zappi. App State fans know that well after they got carved up in the bowl game pretty well by that offense. I think that Western Kentucky takes a step back overall this season with what they've lost there and some transfers they've had leave as well. So I have Troy maybe surprising some people, but I have them winning at Western Kentucky. Then Southern Miss the following week coming in. Southern Miss is coming in off a bye. I think they're going to need that bye, but I don't know if it's going to be strong enough to beat a team as Troy. Again, Troy hasn't had the greatest record over the past couple of years, but I don't think Southern Miss is up and ready like they need to be in order to upset a team like Troy. Then they follow it up with homecoming, and Texas State comes to town. I think Texas State is still one of the weaker teams over there in the West overall. I have Troy not struggling too much with those guys and should come away with a W. Then they travel down to South Alabama for a Thursday night matchup. This one's Battle of the Belt. For those that don't know and are new to the Sun Belt, this is the longest rivalry in the conference, and it's got one of the coolest names because it's kind of what started it all, and these two teams don't like each other. It's not one that a lot of people outside of that region probably know much about, but should be a good game. It's a great matchup for the Sun Belt to put on a Thursday night, a weekday game. I think there's going to be some eyes on at least one of these teams. I'm going to lean towards Troy being the better team and should come away with the W, but South Alabama is predicted to do pretty well by a lot of other experts this year as well. Then they have a bye week, and then they go at Louisiana. And I don't think Louisiana is going to have as great of a season as they have here recently in the past. So I do have them dropping, but I do have them dropping that one to Louisiana. I think coming off a bye, having some success, at some point you got to drop one to another decent team, and I think Louisiana's just strong enough that they should get the win at home there. Then they host Army, and then we've talked about the Army offense and a couple other team previews. I think the Army offense is pretty good. I'm just throwing this one out there. You drop one to Louisiana, maybe some things come up that some guys get frustrated with how things are going. They're just trying to figure out how to rebound. I don't think they're going to do it against Army. I do think the following week, having ULM come to town, I think they will rebound there and should get back in the win column, as well as the last week traveling to Arkansas State and should win that one as well. So with all that being said, they would come away with a regular season record of 8-4 overall, which is a pretty good jump. I would say Troy fans should be very happy with that, especially with a new head coach coming in there. I think they should expect good things and a lot of good games and matchups over there in the West, probably a division that they should have been in before now, but they certainly fit in well being down there in Alabama, closer to a lot more regional rivals than they would be in the new side of the East. So with that being said, I have started up a Patreon, so please check that out. Check out other podcasts, other team previews. We will be trying to continue this weekly as the season goes on, and thanks for listening.